Guys, this is Jake and Alex with Chase and Tell, and on today's episode, we got Shane Simpson with us, and we're going to just basically, when it comes to the turkey hunting industry, he's a man to watch. Like this guy, if you've not checked him out, go check him out because he can flat out kill some turkey, and he's a heck of a deer hunter too. But we just wanted to ask Shane, like, what got you really wanting to start recording and doing this stuff back, I don't know, you said 2007, 2009.
Yeah, well, I started recording a lot sooner than that, like when I was in my teens. I think the biggest inspiration was probably my uncle. He was the coach of the little league football team when I was growing up, and I joined that team, and he had his big VHS recorder out there, and he would record the football games, and
Yeah.
and I was like, man, I want me a camera if I could ever get one. They were expensive back then. When I was about 14, I was able to, I had enough saved up that I went and bought one. And I forget what I paid for it, but it was every bit of money I had that I had
Yeah.
saved up. And I'd go out there and I'd video us dove hunting, me and my buddies, and I try to film some deer hunts. I wish I had those tapes, so they got lost to time. They don't
Man,
last very long.
Yeah.
they
And
would they'd be
yeah,
awesome to watch though.
oh, I know. I wish I had some because, I had no way of editing everything. You had to like put in the VCR and like dub and audio in or something like that. And I never got that complicated into it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I continued recording all that stuff as I got older and technology improved. I got a little mini DV camcorder, and then started hunting with the other folks. Just sharing the woods with them. And the question came up, how am I going to watch this hunt? How do I get to see it? I said, well, I can burn it on a DVD or something. And then I said, you know what? I'll just put it on YouTube. That'd be the easiest. And then I can just share the link with you. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how the turkey videos and stuff came about. I started putting them on YouTube, and then people started subscribing to my channel to see the videos, I guess. And I'm like, okay, well, this is cool. And try to refine the editing process. I bought an
Yeah.
HD camcorder when it came out, and then 4K, and here we are today.
Yeah, and that's awesome hearing the whole story side of it. Now, whenever you first started out, did it just like all the people just I know obviously you didn't get all the followers right off the jump, but it was a pretty quick growth for you?
Yeah. So I was putting on clips like turkey hinge yelping and just little snippets of different things I would
Yeah.
record. Some of it was just junk stuff, family, and not junk families, but stuff that no one else would be interested in.
Yeah.
And I'd gained, I don't know, about 3 or 4 thousand subscribers just because I think it was the turkey audio and stuff, turkey clips. People wanted to listen to them to improve their calling, especially
Oh,
competition callers.
yeah.
And initially, I was putting my like edited videos on the Mossberg channel. They needed some content for their YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, Mossberg would like to see your stuff on their channel." So I was putting it on there first, and I'd already accumulated 15 or 20 videos
Yeah.
hunts, and I decided I didn't want to stay with Mossberg because the demographic on their channel just wasn't for me, because
Yeah.
people go to the Mossberg channel to look for shotgun videos about different
Yeah.
different guns. They weren't coming there to look at turkey videos, even though it was getting some good views. So I started just dumping all my hunts back on my channel, onto my channel, and that right there, the views of the subscribers quickly jumped about 10,000, just because I guess all that
Dang.
sudden content. And then it grew about 10,000 subscribers per year. And then it's kind of tapered off now. I'm sitting around 50,000 right now.
Yeah.
But
Which is
it's
still
kind of,
awesome. Like me and Alex have both talked about it. Like to be a one-man show, you're not like with Bone, like none of these big brands. Having that many people follow you to watch your turkey hunts and your deer hunts, I find more impressive than like these big names that do it. Because I'm sure it's a lot to try to keep up and like constantly, like I see a lot of your hunts, you bring a lot of people and you go with a lot of people. And I like them hunts awesome. Like them, like I feel like you get just as much enjoyment as someone else killing it than you do
oh yeah,
yourself.
I feel like I'm the trigger man when I successfully, I'm filming right over their shoulder and I
Oh
get
yeah.
that hunt
Yeah.
and they shoot. It feels like I just tagged that bird.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, calling them in is the a hard enough challenge in itself. So I mean, that to me,
yeah,
once you get them in within range, it's like, hey, that's a kill.
yeah. And someone brought up something the other day. They mentioned, they said I wouldn't want to shoot a bird that I didn't call in, and I got to think about that. You know, I probably wouldn't want to be just a gunman either. And so I've never really thought about that. Do the people that hunt with me, because most of them don't call, I'm usually the one that's doing
Yeah,
most of the calling, which they're, you know, I don't prohibit them from calling. It's just
yeah,
most of them say, I'm going to let you do the calling.
oh yeah,
Um, I've never asked them, how do you feel about that? That I'm just basically calling them in for you. Um,
yeah.
sorry, I don't know what that flying in front of my face, but um, I guess none of them are unhappy about it because they all seem pretty pumped after the fact.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody's
watching
happy to
all
get a
your
turkey.
videos, yeah, watching your videos, I've never seen nobody like upset about
Yeah, shoot a bird and say, "Man, I wish I'd called him in." You know.
it. But I tell you, sometimes like having two people calling, like having one person calling and somebody shooting, sometimes for me, like I'm big and me and my father-in-law, we hunt together a lot. And there'll be a lot of times like we'll get a bird hung up 100 yards out in the field. So I'll bear crawl back 60 yards behind him and start calling. And then that bird's like, well, she's moving away and she'll come in within range of him. So, I mean, sometimes having two people's, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, but it's difficult if you're the cameraman. If you have to drop back, then you
Yeah.
can't get the footage. So that's one tactic I don't get to do much
Yeah.
unless we have a third person. But I prefer not hunting with more than two. You know, me and one person.
Yeah.
I've done it before, but
It's
that's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of bodies
people.
to just get through the woods and be stealthy in the when you
Yeah.
need to. But you know, there's times that someone else will be the call, like me and Hayden from the hunting public. Me and him were hunting together, and I try to determine who the primary caller is. If you're going to call, let me know that you're going to be the primary call. You know, because
Yeah.
there's nothing bothers me more as two people trying to compete over each other calling.
Oh yeah.
So if you're hunting with me and you want to hunt with me and you say, Shane, I'd like to do the calling, then I'm not going to call unless you allow me to. And then
Yeah.
there will be times like when
Mm.
me and Hayden hunt together. He was calling, trying to get a bird to gobble, and the bird wouldn't gobble. I said, "You mind if I run my owl hooter? Because I've had a lot of success getting them to gobble with the cattle waller and at the end." He said, "No, go for it." And I did it and got him to gobble where he wouldn't gobble his.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I'll call if I'm basically giving permission to. I'm not. I don't want
Yeah.
to. I don't want to control the hunt. It's their hunt. It's what I tell them. I'm just
Yeah.
here to film it. And most people are like me in as far as their thoughts on it. Like, man, we're here to share the woods together. But I still
Yeah.
try to respect that part of it. If they want to call, that's their hunt.
Oh yeah. And that's the cool side of it too. And I mean, so this is like me and Alex, we've both, I mean, Alex started a little bit older than me, but like I went at my first hunt when I was 3. So like we are both just like it's in our blood. Like we love deer
Mm-hmm.
hunting, we love turkey hunting. And I mean, I enjoy sharing them memories with somebody like to me that's it's a lot funner on the
Yep.
aspect
Yep.
whether who kills the turkey to me like we may go on a hunt and it'd be like me and my father-in-law and he's like you do the shooting well then it ends up he shoots because I can't get my gun around
Yep.
I'm not mad about it it's like
Oh, you're
hey
both high fiving
oh
after it's all
yeah
done. Yeah.
I've never been upset that I didn't get to kill the bird
Yeah. I will say this. Another thing that's been mentioned to me is like you mentioned at the beginning of the show that I go with a lot of people hunting. Um, that that goes back and forth for me as far as some people say they've commented they prefer watching my videos when I'm by myself, just watching me
yeah
hunt.
Mm.
And there'll be years where I'll schedule a lot of hunts with other people because I'm trying to stay in the woods as much as possible, and I may not have a tag, so I'm looking for folks to tag along with.
for sure
And there are seasons when I get done with it, I just feel like I didn't hunt enough on my own. You know, I didn't satisfy that part of me. And so
yeah
the following year, you may see more hunts of me hunting alone, so I
yeah
can scratch that itch. You know,
yeah because I mean we
last
all at the end of the day want to kill one
yeah, and then after that season ends, I feel something's missing because I didn't hunt with enough others. You know, I'm missing that camaraderie. And
yeah
so every year it flips back and forth. Last year I hunted with a lot of people. I only hunted a few days by myself. So
yeah
this year I was trying to not schedule so many people. I'm trying to save a lot of time for myself. And then what'll happen is towards the end of the season, I'll be like, man, I miss all that, you know, camaraderie. And, you know, a lot of times it's we're cutting up in the woods, we're having a good time outside of the actual turkey hunt. Now,
Oh
when
yeah.
it gets down to business and we're working on a bird,
Oh yeah.
the silliness gets put aside.
Oh
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
strictly business.
Yeah. Now, I mean, is it like, because like we said, we're both new to this. What would you say self-filming? What is the challenges that you've seen happen? Because I'm sure every hunt ain't successful. I mean, everybody knows that. But like, what's the challenges that you ran into self-filming?
Oh, um, I guess I should just give some tips because there's a lot of challenges. Number one is running out of memory space on my
Yeah.
cameras. Battery going dead. I've had that happen where I'm down to the last 5 minutes of battery, and I've got to shut cameras off to kind of conserve that.
Yeah.
And excuse me, I get around that by carrying these big external batteries for my action cameras and stuff. I have like huge storage micro SD cards, you know, 500 gigs, you know, half terabyte in some of these cameras.
Yeah.
My main camera, I spent I don't know, $150 on an extra large battery for it, so I can get about 6 hours of runtime out of it. And
Okay.
I have power inverters in my truck, so every night, my truck idles and I'm charging batteries. And believe it or not, my truck at least, doesn't use more than a gallon or so of fuel idling all night. So I just idle my truck all night. I'm usually camping in my truck, charge
Yeah.
all my batteries and stuff. And so that's the hardest part. It's just, especially if you're hunting multiple days, keeping everything charged and dumping footage at the end of the day. That takes sometimes an hour or two. And I
Yeah.
usually eat dinner while that's happening, you know. So those are some of the challenges. But uh, during the hunt, the challenge is good audio and capturing all the action, not just the getting the turkey, you know, the kill on and you know in frame, but capturing the other aspects. And that's why I have so many action cameras. If you watch some of these, I guess startup YouTubers, you'll see a lot of times the footage in their YouTube video is basically pointing to the woods, and you can hear them calling behind camera and a turkey gobbling. That's all you see. Well,
Yeah.
that's not really good footage. Put a little action camera pointing back at you, and then do cutaways and
Yeah.
try to break it up a little bit. And I like having action cameras. The people set them on the ground facing up at them. That's not a good aim angle. I'll have two or three ones out away from me to kind of get a wider shot.
Yeah.
One over my shoulder, and a lot of people, and this has kind of been my objective, is to make the viewers feel like they're a part of the hunt. And I've had that response from a lot of people. They feel like they're right there because they can see all the
Oh yeah.
surroundings in every scenario. So that was the biggest challenge for me, but I learned from feedback. And just when you start editing hunts
Yeah.
and you're like, man, I wish I'd gotten this shot, or I wish I'd gotten this scene, then you do that next time. And so
Yeah.
just experience has also helped me in that regard. I mean, there's a lot of things to overcome, but just try to capture different angles and get good audio. And that's why I can always carry a little field recorder with a lav mic here,
Yeah.
because I mean, I can stand 20 yards from the camera and talk to the camera in a low voice so that it doesn't alert the turkeys, and you're hearing me crystal clear.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean that's one
there's
thing about your videos, man. Like, I mean, me and Alex, we've watched a lot of your videos, and we've
Yeah.
always talked about like the quality of your videos, and like how you, I like how you hunt turkeys. Like
Mm.
the video quality you put out for turkey hunt is some of the best that you really can see out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's other great turkey hunters that put out YouTube videos, but I mean, you do play by play. There's not many times that I've not seen a video where it's just like kill shot done.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
And to
mean, the
be
only
appreciate
yourself is just impressive in itself. To do it
it.
all
yeah,
by yourself with that, I mean, it's
Yeah, I
crazy.
appreciate that. The thing that I try to do the most, and I got inspiration from others, is and I also try to look at other videos and say what do I like about this video?
yeah,
What could I improve on? And one of the things is, like you said, telling the story, how I got from point A to B.
Yeah.
And then I try to point at things in the camera, like what am I thinking about and what's my objective up ahead, and
Yeah.
basically go through in my head, but out loud, tell the viewers what is my strategy and how am
Yeah.
I getting from A to B. And, instead of just,
Doing
just
it.
video, just opening up in a field and there's some turkeys gobbling, they come to
Yeah.
the gun,
Yeah.
it didn't really explain, the
Yeah.
process.
And I think in this industry, man, like the people who are watching hunting, like don't get me wrong, everybody loves to watch the kill shot. But if people can, what I've seen and what like videos that I've watched that certain people have like a lot of views on it, it's more about all in between that I think is what people enjoy the best. Because it may be like deer hunting, like he's showing their strategies of how they set up their saddle or how do they choose this spot. And everybody loves to hear the aspect of, okay, yeah, you killed a nice mature buck, but what did you do to get all that? And I
Yeah.
mean, them are the videos that do the best.
Yeah, I think that's why I and a lot of other folks enjoy the hunting public, because they
Yeah.
go into their videos
Oh
with,
yeah.
kind of the intro of where we're at and what we're going to do, and they kind of scout their way in, and we see the whole process
Oh
instead of
yeah.
just the typical deer hunting video is it opens up the video when they're in the tree and they
Yeah.
describe, oh, we got a bean field over here and a swamp bottom over here. And I
Yeah.
figured that, but I like to see the stuff. And I don't always do a great job at that, but I try to the best of my ability, show that stuff. But there's also a balancing act. There's a lot of folks that want to see that process. But then there's a lot of folks that want to see a little bit of that process, but they don't want to see it, dragged out across an extended period of time. So if you look at my videos over the course of the last few years, you'll see that my turkey hunting videos are getting shorter and shorter.
I noticed that.
I'm cutting out a lot of, the in-betweens and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep both parties happy. The parties that want to see the process and the parties that want to keep the action going. So I'm trying to just rid the dead time, basically.
Yeah.
So a video that normally would be 25, 30 minutes is now about 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And, you know, I actually thought at one time about putting two videos out with each episode. One would be the condensed like 10 or 15-minute version.
Yeah.
And the other would be a 30 or 45-minute version.
Yeah.
And so let people choose which one they want to watch.
That would be pretty cool though. I mean, because then you could really like see what the viewers enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
maybe that's something I do this year. I mean, it's something I've been toying with in my head, and it wouldn't, you know, it might be a good thing for me because, I'll be putting twice as many videos out,
Yeah.
and then I can see what areas actually do better. You can look at the analytics and see what they're skipping,
Yeah.
what they have the little graphs there, what they're skipping, what they're sticking around and watching. And then I can say, oh, okay, I need to quit showing that type of stuff in my videos because
Yeah.
the majority of people aren't interested. Or this
Yeah.
right here really got some attention. So
Yeah, that's the cool thing about YouTube, man. Like I've been telling Alex and showing him stuff like it really when you go into it and it just breaks down every moment. Like you can see the most watched moment, you can see moments that literally nobody's watching. And I mean, YouTube does an awesome job at that aspect
and
of
you
it.
can use that to your advantage for like if you're doing other social like TikTok reels and Instagram TikToks, those spots where you see peaks in YouTube video, just crop that little section,
Crop that and put
make
that
a
out
reel.
Yeah.
Then you get 1 million views on TikTok.
Yeah, man. I tell you, I mean, some of what now, another question I know me and Alex was wanting to ask you because you've hunted quite a few states like we've seen and stuff like that. What would you say has been like your toughest state or toughest like type of bird?
Yeah.
Well, the easiest ones are out west. I mean, those birds, they're very vocal. You can call to them a lot. There's a lot of visibility because of open terrain, and they don't get the pressure that an eastern gets, or an Osceola. I think the eastern's tougher than an Osceola, to be honest. With as much pressure as Osceolas get, either they're producing a lot of offspring and there's always turkeys available, or those birds are just more resilient to pressure. Because I've gone down there. I even took my daughter down there one year, and hunted the general public land like everyone else is hunting. And we killed a bird on like the second or third day. She did. Um, I've never really struggled in Florida for some reason. Maybe I've just been extremely lucky. I have hunted some of the quota hunts. Those are nice to get on because the decrease in pressure.
Yeah.
But Easterns overall, I think, are the hardest, but only in really high pressured areas. Like I can hunt, I can hunt a public land in Minnesota and have trouble with that bird, and then I can hunt some private land in Mississippi and not have an issue getting a bird.
Yeah.
And that's in Mississippi. They always say if you can kill a bird in Mississippi, you can kill one anyway. Well, no, that's not really true. If you're just hunting some like cushy private land in Mississippi and there's tons of birds and you don't have a problem killing one, you're going to struggle when you go to say Minnesota and you get on one of the most pressured pieces of public up here. Those birds, they're up here, they're skittish too. They pop a head over a hill and they see something out of whack, they're gone in a hurry.
Yeah.
I mean, so it boils down to pressure. Like I'll tell anybody, there's no one state. Now, there are states that it's tougher to get on a bird because you got more competition from other hunters. They're killing birds, especially it gets later in the season. There's less birds for you to hunt. You got people at the gate, and so you got to go find a new spot. I mean, so you got that to tend with. So but as far as if I got one-on-one with a bird in any state, I think I have the same odds no matter where they're at.
Yeah. And that's kind of something we talked about as well. Like it just depends on the pressure of the birds. I mean, that's everything though. Deer as well. The pressure is what matters. You can go into a private hole deer hunting and you can go in there and kill a deer because they ain't used to that pressure. But you go into public land and I mean the does are usually what bust you because there's so daggone many of them.
And those does live to be so old a lot of times because people are passing them up. I see every year I see one or two instances of a doe being the jawbone or the bone, where they do the little splice of the bone tooth comes back 13 years, or the deer was collared or had some way. Anyway, those does are 13, 15 years old, and that's a smart doe. She's lived that long, and she's seen that many seasons. She's gonna bust you, especially if there's a buck, it's a rutting, and she's got a buck trailing her. She's gonna bust you before that horny buck.
Yeah. Back to the turkey thing. What state do you think is the toughest one you've had to get on a turkey?
That's a good question. Mississippi, when I hunted public that one year, it took me a couple days and I finally got one. That was I guess that was pretty tough. I hunted Alabama and got on a bird the first morning and chased him through the woods. The second morning I called one in and unfortunately I missed him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's really not been a state where it's been tough to get on a bird or find a bird for me, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm leery of Arkansas. I haven't hunted there yet, but I've heard nightmares about it. But
it's tough.
Yeah, but I heard the same thing about Florida before I ever hunted down there, and then I went down there, and every year we're killing birds, and so I think sometimes I don't know, just Arkansas does have a lot going against me as a non-resident coming in and trying to kill one. If the residents, Arkansas has some die-hard turkey owners down there, and probably a lot of poachers too. But if they struggle down there, then I know I'm gonna have my hands.
I tell you what, I've not really hunted a lot of different birds, but like compared to where Alex lives and where I live, the birds where I live in Eastern Virginia, man, they are tough birds to kill. And it's just because of the flat land. And it's more so the flat land, and all we got is mostly pine trees. So you really, like, Alex loves to run and gun. Like he loves to try to get around and figure out like how he can get close to that bird if that bird is not working towards him. Like where I'm at, it's hard for us because there's so many crop fields, first off, and then the pine trees, it's really hard to get around. We can do it, but you just may have to say, I'm gonna have to step back, I'm gonna get in my truck, and I gotta drive all the way around this farm. So Alex is going to see. He's coming up here during April, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
told him,
ready
I
to run and
said,
gun them.
Yeah.
um,
I will say now that you brought up Virginia, I forgot I hunted Virginia several years back. And although we were hearing birds, I was getting them from the road in the evening. I got them to gobble from the road, located 2 or 3 that evening, and had some gobbling that morning. And the next morning, I think I only hunted 2 mornings there. Those were a little bit of a challenge. They
yeah,
just, and I don't know if it was because it's early in the season, they had hens with them, but I had,
Yeah.
I didn't kill one. And although I was able to get on birds, I think if I'd had another day or two there, I could have figured something out. But
oh yeah,
so far, I guess that's been my biggest challenge with Virginia, and I'm kind of used to the hills, even though those mountains, you
Yeah.
know, probably 1,500, 2,000 feet different in elevation from top to bottom.
yeah,
The area I hunt in Minnesota is only 300 to 400 feet, but
yeah,
Minnesota is so much steeper. It's like a 45-degree hill where Virginia was just farther to go up the hill, but a less of an incline. So
yeah,
it kind of balanced out. But I was used to those hill birds, and I knew
yeah,
kind of how to deal with them. It's just they I don't know if it was just early in the season. I believe if I like I said, if I'd gone later in the season or if I had
Yeah.
a couple more days, I find that with a lot of states that it's actually easier to kill a bird if you just wait about 2 weeks after opener. The
That's
hunting
what I
yeah.
hear.
pressures has kind of died down, let things leaf out a little bit. At least for me, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, like over here where I'm at, like me and my father-in-law, we was just talking. We wish our season came in 2 weeks earlier because like we already have so much like the way we hunt. I guess we need to start getting more versatile and start trying different ways, but we've had pretty good success over the last few years doing it like this. But these birds, by the time turkey season rolls around, they don't want to be vocal. They've already, like, I went out and heard birds gobbling this morning, their heads off. Like, they're ready to start doing stuff. And I got, our season comes in April 13th. So I still got a month to go. And it's
When does
just,
it end?
um, May
May.
something.
Yeah.
I mean, we usually
May
do better.
20th or something.
I think we've always had better luck in May, that
Yeah.
like 11,
So,
12 o'clock period.
Oh yeah. I'm a 10 to
like
12 kind of guy.
so when it goes out in May, is like mid-May or late May? Does your season last a month and a half?
I think it's like
I want to
You
say
don't
it's
have to
like
look it up.
something.
it's May 20th, like mid-May.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's. I think some of these states, like you're close enough, you're far enough north and not too far south where you're probably in that mid-May area. It's probably some of your best hunting potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know up here in the Midwest, it's some of the best hunting I ever see is up here in mid to late April.
Yeah.
And a lot of people up here, they actually have fishing seasons up here. And I guess because it gets so cold and freezes the lakes,
Yeah.
they want
Mhm.
they want the fish to have time to to spawn or whatever. So you're
Mhm.
not allowed to fish for game fish, excuse me, until like end of April, beginning first week of May or something. When
Yeah.
that opens up, there's so many diehard fishermen up here that they all just abandon the turkey woods and they go fishing. And so we have the woods to ourselves up here a lot
Yeah.
of
So
times
the
to
That's a
go
good
pressure,
turkey
thing.
hunting. You know, and
you
maybe
know,
that's why the hunting gets so good. The turkeys realize that after a couple of days how quiet it's gotten. Not all these mushroom hunters and turkey hunters are not stomping through the woods. Things calm down.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Y'all got a lot of hickory chickens up there?
What's that?
Y'all have a lot of morels up there?
Oh yeah, it's big money up here.
Yeah.
The local restaurants, like in the off season, will pay $100 a pound for morels.
Man.
And
Oh,
I was in South Carolina when spring turkey hunting. It was like in late March, and I found a whole bunch of morels. I mean, I could have
yeah.
filled up, a couple 100 pounds. It looked like, I'd never
Daggone.
seen so many morels in my life in one area. And I filled up a cardboard box full of them, and I didn't know how to handle them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My buddy said, "Man, get up here to Minnesota. Those things as quick as possible. They're going for $100 a pound right now." And, I figured 100. I didn't have 100 pounds. I probably had a good 20 pounds of them. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a nice payday.
Heck yeah.
I didn't know how to transport them. I stuck in my truck and I started driving. Excuse me, I got a little itch in my. Anyway, I started driving north. I stopped this one stop for the night, And I got out and checked my morels, and they'd been started fermenting, got build up heat and started turning to mush, and they were ruined. And I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, I probably should have researched how to transport them so they wouldn't go bad. So
yeah,
those got thrown in the dumpster, and I didn't make any money. But anyway, so you'll see people up here, like they'll have a big sack on their back. They'll go out there and spend all day. They hit these public areas daily, and then they
yeah,
sell the morels to local restaurants. And I think by the time when the morels come in, they're getting around $20-$30 a pound for them, so they're making a good lick.
yeah.
I wish they would start charging requiring those guys to have a license or something, just like we do to hunt. You're taking a resource from the land and you're making profit off of it.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I mean, because then you could put that back into the actual land itself. I mean, I feel like that'd be totally fair because I mean it's big back home where Alex is from. People will just go up in there and hunt them hours and days.
they'll walk all day looking for them.
Yeah, charge a foraging fee or something.
Yeah. Nah, man. But I tell you, like we wanted to touch point on. Well, I wanted to talk about that turkey, that one that was crazy gobble. Like that's one of my. I enjoy that video so much. The one that had that real squeak on it.
Oh yeah, the sandhill crane gobble.
Yeah, that was. I mean, what I know that had to be crazy.
Well, what's odd is we heard that bird gobble, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one the evening before. Joel was owl hooting or something, and he said, "You hear that?" And I was like, "I heard something, but I wasn't sure what it was." And I said, "Do it again." And he got the gobble, and it sounded to me like a hen gobble that evening. It's like, but it didn't have the squeaks in it. At least I didn't hear them. So then I turned my camera on, and you see it in the video. I said, towards the end of the video, we did a flashback where it showed us, the bird we roosted. Anyway, I asked him to hoot again, and it gobbled again. You kind of barely hear it, but it sounded like a hen gobble to me.
Yep.
And so the next day we were about a mile away on the ridge went for a long ways, and we were on the far side. We had a bird roost, and we hunted him, and he slipped by us. And so we just started walking the ridge off in that direction. And I finally heard it gobble again. It still sounded like a hen gobbled. I heard it way across the valley on the private. I said, "Oh, there's that hen gobbling again." But anyway, we got set up after calling that ridge, and we heard it gobble again down the valley. And that's when I heard it squeaking. I said, that was weird. And then I got the cameras on and stuff, and he called, and it gobbled like right over the lip, and it was the weirdest gobble I'd ever heard. But I knew it was a turkey. I mean, I wasn't like I was fooled or anything. Just it had a unique gobble. I'm back. I think what's causing it is I've been making turkey calls, and I use it's not a talcum powder or baby. It's made out of cornstarch, just food base. And I think some of that got in my throat because when I snap the reeds, dust comes off.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, I want to dive in a little bit on your tactic of hunting, like the run and gun style. You and the hunting public about 3 or 4 years ago changed my whole tactic on hunting, and I'm a run and gunner now. Now, what tips would you give to somebody that was going to start running and gunning? Because I had to learn my way through it, and it's not easy. You mess up a lot, but I just want to see what you had to say.
Oh gosh, I guess there's a lot to cover there. If you're just starting out, I know a lot of people. I used to use decoys. I gave up on those just because I find it more enjoyable to call one without, and it's one less thing to carry.
That's why I looked at it.
And then the other thing is what I tell people is, if you got a bird gobbling there and you're wanting to set up on it, and you're trying to put a decoy out, you've got to advance another 20 yards so closer to one. At that point, why would you retreat 20 yards to sit down? Why not just sit there? So and then if you have to get up and move and like crawl out of to use cover, you're gonna leave the decoy there. It's like it's more of a handicap than anything. So if I was going to start out running a gun, I'd say keep it really simple. Get you a few calls. Don't think about, or don't worry about thinking you have to have a vest full of calls in every pocket. Try to keep lightweight and stay mobile. I used to wear these knee-high rubber boots, I switched over to hiking boots. And I carry, if I'm in an area hunting where I think I may encounter water, I'll carry like Dave Owens suggested, contractor bags, trash bags. And I'll just use those as waders. or I'll just wade through it and get wet. I'm not
Yeah,
worried about.
that's what I do.
If it's
I have
warm enough, you'll dry.
yeah, I have an extra pair of the same hiking boots in my truck.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and so if the one's getting wet, I have a little portable boot dryer, and I just put the other ones on that and hunt out others. So anyway, I guess in a nutshell, just try to stay lightweight. Don't grab a bunch of gear. Try to stay mobile, and you'll have more fun, and it'll be a lot less work.
Oh yeah, I know. I definitely love it now. I can't go back to sitting over a decoy.
Yeah,
I have to run and gun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it over the years, and the less gear I tote, the more I enjoy it. I even quit using a vest. I don't even now I've been using the M2 vest from Tethered,
Hmm.
but I don't use a seat cushion. One day, for some reason, I got in a situation where I couldn't get my seat cushion out, and I just kind of took the vest off and chunked to the side and just sat down
Yeah.
against a tree. And I said, you know what? I was more comfortable without a seat pad underneath. And so
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
quit
the
using
butt
them.
pads, man, sometimes you'll get sitting there and they'll get your butt so sore after 30,
Yeah.
40
Be,
minutes.
Yes, they
be
do.
numb. The only thing you have to worry about if the ground is wet, and
Yep.
I have a backpack fly. It kind of comes over,
Mhm.
and I sometimes I'll just stick that in my pocket. And if it's been raining, I don't want to get my butt wet, and then I can just pop that out and sit on it, or just do like I do with my feet when crossing the creek. Just get wet. It's only
Mhm.
temporary.
Oh
Yeah.
Whatever the
Yeah.
situation calls for.
Yeah. Now, how many turkey calls do you usually pack with you when you go, or does it vary from place to place?
No, it's pretty much the same thing every time. I have like 3 or 4 mouth calls in one little plastic case, and
Hmm.
there's usually only one call that gets used. The other
Yeah.
ones are kind of like brand new backups.
Yeah.
A mouth call, the diaphragm, the reeds are made out of latex from tree sap,
Oh,
so
yeah.
your saliva is going to start breaking it down. And if you
Yep.
use one as much as I do, it starts to deteriorate by halfway through the season, and the sound doesn't sound as good as it did early on. I don't store calls in the freezer and the fridge over the season. I just get a
Yeah.
new call at the beginning of the year. But 2 or 3, 4 mouth calls in that little case, an owl hooter in my shirt pocket, and then one pot call and striker, and I'll
Yep.
swap out.
Mhm.
One day I may carry an aluminum call, the other day I may carry a glass. Primary is my exterminator glass pot call,
Yeah.
Okay.
and if I'm not wearing like my little fanny pack, my tactical fanny pack I call it,
Yeah.
or my M2 vest, I'll just put my pot call in my cargo pocket. So
Yeah.
then I don't have much at all. Most of the stuff I carry is recording equipment, cameras and
Yeah.
batteries.
That's the toughest stuff carrying all that. I mean, it ain't tough to carry it all that, but it's a lot more extra stuff.
Yeah,
And
if
I
I
think it's cool. Like your videos, you'll show a lot of like with that action shot camera, like how you're constantly like moving your big camera around. Like
yeah
I think it's cool how you show all that stuff as well.
yeah if I didn't film my hunts, it'd just be a shotgun, a mouth call, an owl hooter, pot call in my cargo pants, and that's it.
Yeah,
Um,
I
Diving
know.
back into the cameras, how many cameras are you taking out with you on a normal turkey hunt shot?
there's my main camera, my 360 camera, and at least 2 4K action cameras, sometimes 3 of those, but 4 to 5 cameras, and
Okay.
depending on the situation. Usually, there's only 3 deployed
Yeah.
in most instances, but I've had up
Yeah.
to 5 deployed just to get different angles.
Yeah. And that's cool, like being able to see all the angles of the hunt. And I mean, it probably helps you out too, because you got birds coming from every which way. And I mean, you can see them on different cameras as well as you can your action camera, I'm sure.
That
Um,
360 has really freed me up a lot. Um, because a lot of times now I just deploy it, and because it captures everything around me,
yeah.
um, I I don't need to deploy a lot of cameras, but I will, because it is a 360. It's doing globally all
Mm.
directions, but it's only got a 6.7K sensor.
Yeah.
So if you crop into any certain segment, it's not really 6.7K. It's more like 2K or something.
Yeah.
So I do put some 4K action cameras to capture those primary angles where
Oh,
I
yeah.
may need to crop in if my main camera doesn't capture it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Or
mean, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, or in those instances where I don't carry my main camera, there's a hunt coming up um, from last year, the last hunt of the season, where I just went in there in basically kill mode, and I
Mhm.
left my main camera behind. I just carried my 360 camera and two little action cameras, and I was having them in my own fanny pack. My mission was to go in there, spend hours if I could, find a gobbler and kill it, and
Yeah.
the footage would have been okay. It wouldn't have been great, but
Yeah.
I had video was lower priority at the time. It was like, hey,
Yeah.
last day of the season, type of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I to me, like me and Alex have been talking, I feel like with the cameraman, you almost got to kill that bird twice. You got to kill him with the camera and kill
Yeah.
him with a gun. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the cool aspect of it. And it's a memory that you can cherish them hunts for the rest of your life. They'll always be there. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
especially
I enjoy going back, especially the older videos. So I've got some that are not on my channel, but from like 2006 or 2007, somewhere in that area.
Mhm.
yeah,
There's not much to them, but it shows me like the neighbor's kid hunting, and those are
yeah,
cool to go back and look at. That are that old. The kid, and now he's married and got kids. And
yeah,
Yeah.
here he was, a young man just getting his first turkey with me. So it's cool to look back at those times.
Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. I mean, the first turkey is one that I mean we all remember that bird. I mean, no matter what the hunt was. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
just incredible. I mean, we was watching your videos, and I tell you, I thought it was funny that one buck you killed that had that daggone block on its head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Uh,
crazy. I mean, it was
I
a
was
nice buck, but I mean, then it having that block of that decoy on it, I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's stuff like that seems to always happen to me. I'm like, what are the odds of it happening to me? I mean, I have these
Yeah,
like I don't know. There's a couple of instances of different hunts where something weird's happened, and I've been it happened to me.
yeah,
And then to have this buck come out and he's got a target stuck in it, and I captured it on video. I'm like, it's I don't know.
yeah,
It's been a cool
Yeah.
experience, and that was a really cool experience too.
yeah. That was awesome video. I mean, watching that, I was enjoying the quality of it. I was cracking up because I was like, I was trying to figure out what in the world's on this deer's head,
Let's see, I thought
and
it was
then
a plastic bucket because I was hunting near a greenhouse, and
yeah,
they every fall they put out mums,
yeah,
thousands of them out there, and they kind of put them in rows and stuff, and they're in these black plastic pots, that you get in
yeah,
a
Yeah.
nursery. And I didn't really pay much attention. I just saw something dark on his head, and I thought that he had been fighting those mums and got one stuck on his
Mhm.
antlers. And as soon as I knew he was coming my way, my eyes focused away from his antlers. I don't never look at their antlers
oh
once I
yeah,
decide
me
I'm gonna shoot.
neither.
I just concentrate on his face and what he's doing and try to read
Yep.
his body language.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I found it laying on the ground later that I was like, oh, it's a freaking Glendale buck target.
Now, did you know did you ever find out whose it was?
Oh yeah, he lived 1.3 miles away. He actually
Daggone.
somebody the owner of an archery shop
Yeah,
sent me a message on Facebook or something. He said, Shane, I think I know where I know the owner of that Glendale buck target, core target or whatever. And I said, oh, really? He said, yeah, were you hunting in this area? And he told me, and I was like, and I didn't answer him yes or no, but he was right. And I
yeah,
said, what's the guy's phone number? And that's all
yeah,
I said.
yeah,
And so I called the guy up, and he said, yeah, I had my buck target out there. I was shooting at it the night before, went to bed. Next morning, I was getting ready for work, and it was destroyed, laid in the yard, and parts were missing. And he basically described it to a T. I mean, it's like Cinderella's shoe. I mean, he's like,
yeah,
he had the broadhead, which was a two blade with bleeders, and the
yeah,
holes all in it were matched a two blade with bleeders. And then he said, look in one of the holes or some of the holes. Do you see like black foam stuck in the holes? I was like, yeah. He said that comes from my black foam target. I guess I forget the name of it. But anyway, he said he would shoot in that, and every once in a while a little piece of foam gets stuck in between the bleeders or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
Instead of cleaning out, he would just shoot it into his Glendale buck. And so it had it
yeah.
embedded in there. I was like, yep,
Mhm.
that's exactly yours. I mean, this is yours. And
That's
I said,
crazy.
do you mind if I buy this target from him? He said, oh man, you can have it.
Yeah,
That's a cool
Yeah.
experience and story. By that time, his wife walks into the room. I can hear her in the background. And he says, honey, you'll never guess. I found the guy, blah, blah, blah. He told the story to her. And the first thing she says, tell him we want it back. and he said, no, I didn't told him he could have it, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, it kind of got awkward there for a moment. But he's like, nah, I didn't tell him he can have it. He can keep it. So
Yeah. That I mean, it's cool though that it's just even cooler that you killed the buck with that on it, but it's cooler that somebody reached out to you and
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, that's my decoy."
yeah,
That's pretty
they saw
cool.
the YouTube video because we had been asking around, but he was
Yeah.
so far away. 1.3 miles. I can't remember if it was as the crow flies or as we plotted kind of where the deer must have come from, because he couldn't have come straight to where I was hunting, because there was like an area that was I guess, what do you call it, industrial type area, and it had
Yeah.
some fencing around it. So I
Okay.
figured he went the long ways around.
Yeah.
And the cattail marsh I was hunting kind of extended all the way around that and went towards the next highway. And he lived in a subdivision across the highway. There was some wooded areas there, so
Yeah.
the deer would move in there at night and stuff. So I guess he was all rutted up that night, saw that buck target, rammed it. He actually pushed it against a pine tree, and that's how his antlers got his tines impaled
Yeah.
inside it.
Yeah.
And then he had to make it all the way to me. And I think I encountered him that morning when I was getting set up. I heard a deer grunt, and I could hear him moving through the grass. And I think I grunted to him, or no, I don't think I did. I can't remember. I just remember he must have heard me rustling, making noise, trying to get up in the tree. And he came up to me in the dark. I could just barely see in the, my eyes had gotten adjusted to the dark. I could just see a shape there. And he walked up like 10 yards from me and just sitting there. And he was staring at me. And then he bounded off and he circled around back behind me. I could hear him running through the grass. And he went off to my left. Well, I got
Yeah.
up in the tree, and as soon as it got light enough to start, seeing things, I decided to grunt and rattle. And before I could rattle, after I got through grunting, he come popping out. And so I'm guessing it was the same deer. He was just so stoked up on hormones and just rutted up that he was
Oh
just
yeah.
Yeah.
crazy acting. And
Yeah, because I mean, you
gone.
even didn't you draw back and like let down?
Yeah,
He like ran away,
yeah.
but then he came right back.
So I just a little backstory on that real quick. I have what's called a Schaefer XV. It's instead of a drop away rest, it clamps from the sides,
Okay.
and it has moleskin on it so as the arrow, it kind of just pinches it. And
Yeah.
I had to replace the moleskin. I put the wrong size on there, so it was gripping it too tight. And so as I
Yeah.
went to draw, it pulled my arrow off
Oh
the
man.
string.
Oh.
Yeah.
I corrected it after that hunt, but and so as I'm coming to full draw, it pops off, and I'm like, oh God. And so I had let down, and I had so much bulky clothes on there because it was cold.
Yeah.
I let down, and my orange sleeve went across and it made a little shrug,
Yeah.
noise, rustle noise. And it kind of startled him a minute. He just jumped into the bushes right there below me. And I'm sitting there knocking my arrow back on, and he calmed down. He walked right back out.
Yeah.
Again, if
I
that
mean,
buck
that's
hadn't been rutted
hormones.
up,
Mhm.
yeah, if he hadn't been rutted up, that deer would have been hauling out of there as soon as I let down the first
Oh
time.
yeah.
So
Yeah. That was an incredible hunt to watch. But the last thing, if unless Alex got anything else that we're going to kind of ask you is like, what you're like, if you would say the most crucial thing to turkey hunting to give to people that are going to watch this, what would be something you would tell everybody like, pay attention to this while you're hunting? If you have a
listen,
one thing, or it may be two things.
well, I'd say listen a lot in the woods. That's one thing that it took me a while to catch on to. And it's easy to say.
You're good. You're good. My wife texted me.
Oh, it sounds like a duck or something. Anyway, I know it's easy to say listen while you're out in the woods, but a lot of people don't really understand listening. It took me a while to get it where I can sit out there and I start just tearing things apart, sounds and stuff. You'll start once you really get it, you'll start hearing drumming from farther away.
Oh yeah.
You're just key. You got to get keyed in on what you're listening for, I guess. And it's hard to teach somebody that, but I can be out in the woods and I can just hear things that no one else would have heard just because I'm
Yeah.
really tuned in for that.
Yeah.
So, and I guess just kind of slow down while you're out there and listen for sounds. Don't be in such a hurry to just call and get one to gobble and then move on somewhere else. I mean, sometimes I'm in a rush, depending on the situation, I may need to speed things along. But when I really get into that zone, I'm what I call slow rolling through the woods. I'm just moving through there quietly, and I'm listening a lot, and I'm listening for the subtle sounds.
Yeah.
Turkey scratching in the distance, things like that. Just
I mean, there was one video I was watching of you, and I was like, you were just walking loud, and you stopped, and he was like, I hear a turkey drumming. I was like, daggone, I wouldn't been able to hear that. I was like, this guy's really paying attention to what's going around.
it's that, and that comes back to tuning in your ears for it.
Yeah.
Getting, when I was younger, I never would have heard that drum, or
Yeah.
I would have heard it and not realized what I was hearing and just
Yep.
ignored it. So, things like that. I mean, the hunt with me and Hayden was a good case of that. I mean, we two of us, and so it's harder to hear when you're both walking. But we would stop and just listen periodically and just sit there and listen. I noticed that with Aaron Warbrick when I was hunting with them. Well, I wasn't really hunting when I was trying to tag him along with him on a hunt one time where I'd already filled my tag, so I was just kind of observing. He said, "Come along with us. We're gonna go hunt." And Aaron Warbrick is very methodical to the woods. He'll take 4 or 5 steps, and they edit a lot of this out so you don't see it.
Yeah.
It took us forever to go 100 yards, and he's just watching. He's listening, he's very observant. And so it takes a lot longer to get from A to B with him in the woods. But, if you watch his videos and say, how come he's always spotting his deer? Some of these videos and say, oh, I saw a deer up ahead. I never would have saw that deer because I'm too fast moving through the woods.
Yeah.
So I guess, just slow down and try to be more observant. It'll eventually come to you. You'll start hearing these things. You'll start noticing these things. And,
Yes,
and there's a lot of tips I could give, but that's a good one, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we enjoy it. And if you got anything, Alex, or
only thing I really have a question about, and that I haven't figured out yet, is Jake yelping. When do you Jake yelp? Because I cannot figure out using it for myself.
If I'm working a gobbler and I hear some other Jakes around, and I think he's hanging with the Jakes, I'll Jake yelp. That'd be a good instant, because if I can bring those Jakes to me, he's going to come along with them.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That happened on a hunt where that bird had come in behind me in Iowa.
Yeah.
He was hanging out with 2 Jakes.
Yeah.
And he was probably just a 2-year-old, a younger mature gobbler, I guess you'd say. Sometimes they do that. In New York, there was a mixed flock of birds, hens with gobblers. And, at first I was calling to the gobblers and the hens, and then I saw some Jakes with them, and I started strictly calling to the Jakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was a video of Alex. He was telling me to go watch it. And I got texted Alex as you was sitting there, he was like calling, and you'd be like him, Jake, and then I was I was like, this guy is just all around the board with it. I was like, holy smokes.
Sometimes I try to sound like a whole flock myself, and sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's me just getting desperate and seeing what they will react to,
Yeah.
But I mean, Jake yelps are very. It's just like you see a male decoy, how effective they are, and using a fan to reap with. Male turkey vocalizations can really be beneficial, and I killed one because I gobbled at him one time. He would not break from over on the private land to come to the public. I had 2 hens in front of me. I think I had a Jake or a hen and Jake. I done called the hen over there twice, I think, and I could hear him gobbling. He would gobble to me, but he wouldn't acknowledge me other than that. Wouldn't do anything other than that. So I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I gobbled at him. He gobbled right back. I gobbled again a few moments later, and then I just got quiet and waited, and he didn't take no time. He popped over the hill. He's like, I got to find this gobbler. And he come right into front of me. So those can be some great. So that's another tip. Learn to master some Jake yelps and gobbles.
I mean, that's awesome, dude. But I tell you what, Shane, it's been a pleasure for us to have you on here, and we appreciate you. And when I reached out to you, it was like me and Alex was really wanting somebody that was really big into the turkey hunting industry, and like we was both talking around, and he texted me. He's like, dude, see if Shane will get on here. I was like, man, it's a shot in the dark. I said, I'm gonna try it. And we reached out, and I mean, we're very grateful for it.
I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to come on. I mean, even if you're a startup podcaster or a well known podcaster, you're gonna, to me at least, I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna talk turkey hunting with a couple of turkey hunters.
Oh yeah, and that's the way we see
Yep.
it.
What's the harm in that? So
Yes, sir.
I almost never turn anybody down. The only reason I would turn somebody down if you had reached out to me in the middle of turkey season, I'm like, dude, I
Oh
don't
yeah.
like.
Oh yeah.
I'll try, but I doubt I'll have time.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Oh man. But Shane, hey, it's been a pleasure, man. It's really been awesome talking to
Yeah, I
you.
enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, man.
Hey, take care.
Yes, sir. Man, I tell you what, dude, it's awesome sitting there talking to somebody who is just so
I
experienced.
could literally sit and listen to him for all day. It's just
Oh
like, and
man.
just pick his brain at turkey hunting.
Dude, it's like I would love to
You
just
said, I know he didn't, he said he ain't no guru, but I swear he's a guru in the
oh
turkey.
dude. I mean, he can say what he wants. I mean, you can look at his YouTube videos. I mean, he's
That one
a
video that I told you to watch that we brought up there about the Jakey Open, that
oh my
shows it's like
goodness,
if you
dude.
can make yourself sound like a whole flock, oh my lord.
Dude, he was literally three different turkeys in one. I was like, holy smokes. Because I literally texted you. I was like, dude, this guy is freaking a whole herd of turkeys.
And I forgot he even done it. I was just sending that to you because I wanted you to just hear the Jakey Open because I'm still trying to learn it,
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was I enjoyed having him on, man.
Yeah, great guy.
Oh yeah, he seems
Genuine.
so down to earth and
Yeah.
I mean, he made a name out of himself and like I was telling you earlier, it's awesome to watch somebody do it like on their own. Like
Yeah.
he is not with some big name of like somebody like in the
Yeah.
turkey industry. I'm not knocking on them guys because what they're doing is just as great.
Yeah. And
But
that's what
they
I told
got
you at first that was so impressive is he's his own thing and he's the
yeah.
only one that does it.
I mean, because like even with us, dude, I mean we're not like it ain't the Jake show or the Alex show. This is chase and tell. So it's like me
We
and
bounce
you
off each other. Yeah.
and like we're eventually one day there'll be another person who comes in or whatever, however it may be. We don't know what the future may
Yeah.
hold. But like we got double the content just because me and you.
And
And
he's
this
out here
guy,
producing more than probably we'll produce with two of us.
oh,
I
bro, for
mean, and
sure.
just waylaying them.
Oh, dude, killing all them birds,
I was
man.
hoping I would get him stumped on the toughest state, but when he started, he's like, "Hey, there ain't really." I was like, "Yep." I was hoping he would spit one.
Man, but I tell you what, it's you go talk to like a big time deer hunter, dude, and you ask them a second question. Now, I guess it's different from deer and turkey because you can kill a 9, 10 inch bird turkey, but killing that like 150, 160 inch deer, some places it's just
Well,
not possible because the genetics ain't there. Like going
it's
down
like
here,
here, yeah,
if you go down to where you live, if somebody said, all right, I'm gonna send in to one of the best deer hunters, he's gonna come down there and kill a 200 inch deer.
yeah.
I'm gonna look at him and be like, not down there, you ain't.
I put it like this: it's all the same, but you know what I mean. You're always still learning either way.
Oh,
But
dude.
if you get your pattern down pat of like how if you figured out how to kill deer and how to kill turkeys, you can apply it to about any situation
You can.
and get on deer or turkey.
Yep. You can
Turkey's a little
definitely.
bit easier because you're not really picking out one certain thing. If a long
Yeah.
buck comes in, you're popping it.
Yeah.
You
With
know,
deer, you're like, all right, I don't want to shoot. I want to shoot 130s today. So that's it.
that
I
jumps
mean,
back to our podcast, our previous podcast where we said you said it's harder to kill old Tom than a mature buck. I said you're full of
yeah, I tell you,
it.
I got to thinking about that
That's what
afterward.
I
I was
forgot
like,
to ask him. I was going to ask him and be like, let's settle this question right here since you been on
and
both.
I mean, but the thing about it is like he is an amazing turkey hunter, but he's just as good as a deer hunter.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
his turkey hunting shields his deer hunting because he's so
yeah,
good at turkey hunting.
yeah,
A
that's
lot
the
of people
thing.
don't watch the deer hunt, but if you watched it, he's as good as anybody out there.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. That's awesome. Like watching himself film, man. Like it takes a lot, dude. And that's going to be like for me and you this year. It's going to be like our first time, and we're going to get to live these struggles. And we got to go buy some more cameras because this guy's like, you better have 20 of them. No, not
That's
20.
why I asked how many cameras he runs. That's I've even been looking into the 360 camera,
I
but
tell you,
I mean,
I've been looking at a 360 camera as well.
I had
Because they're,
heard if you're first starting out, it's probably not the swiftest thing to run
yeah,
because of like how much it takes up and how much editing goes into the 360 camera.
yeah.
But it's intriguing. I mean, if you take a 360 camera, I mean, he runs so many action cameras with it too. But
Yeah.
It kind of for us would take away from a lot of those action cameras. Where we're
Ah,
first starting.
yes. I think so. I think
You
I'm
could
gonna end
run
up.
one on you and then run a 360,
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna end up doing though with camera setup, I think I'm gonna end up getting me another GoPro and
Mm.
have my two action cameras and then a main camera. Like I may, if I'm hunting somewhere, I may have an action camera that's way off here, but then I'm gonna have an action camera that's above me, or like especially in a deer hunt instance. But turkey
Yeah.
hunt, it's like, but I mean, like you said, you gotta learn what's best for you. And that's gonna be like me and you this year. We're gonna literally our first turkey hunt of the year, we're gonna be turkey hunting together.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if
And it,
you might get
no, I'm probably gonna work it weekend.
yeah. So I mean, then that Monday, dude, we'll be turkey hunting together. So it's gonna be like we get to learn all this stuff together, and that's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be a huge learning curve trying to get this all down pat. I mean, it's not gonna be pretty, but
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, dude. We're gonna make our mistakes and stuff, but I mean,
you hear
I
Shane
mean,
talk. He was like, he talked about his old footage and stuff and how it was,
yeah, dude. But that's cool though.
But
That
you gotta,
wouldn't
looking back
you?
on that's awesome. But at the time,
What
you're thinking like, this ain't up to par. But looking back, you're thinking that's still pretty cool footage.
wouldn't you? I would love to see one of the videos when he was like our age.
I'd love to see the VHS.
Yeah,
I like
dude.
for him climbing his attic and finding one of the
Yeah,
VHSs, throw it up on
dude,
YouTube.
that'd be
I don't
awesome.
care if it's 3 hours and 45 minutes. If he
Yeah,
could
dude.
skip through it, I'd sit there and watch the whole thing.
Oh, bro, I'm the same way. But hey, I mean, dude, we've been doing this for a while, so I think if you're ready, I'm ready. We'll just
All right, man.
cut this one off for the day.
Yeah.
Guys, it's always a pleasure. And dude, I hope y'all get to enjoy this as much as we did, because man,
And
I
if you
enjoyed
don't know
talking to
Shane
Shane.
Simpson, it's Shane Simpson Hunting on YouTube.
Yep, go check him out,
Just go
guys.
check him out. It's probably it is, in my opinion, the top tier of turkey hunting.
Oh, for sure, man. He's a and the great thing about it is, man, like now talking to him like face to face, he's a genuine guy. Like he is
Yeah.
down to earth, dude.
To
Great
give us
dude.
a chance, we're
Oh yeah,
small.
but like he
Like he
said,
said,
dude,
I mean, not,
who
and
would
there's a few in the industry that won't do that.
yeah. I mean
And
that's the thing, man.
I completely understand. People's got busy schedules and you got a lot going on,
Oh yeah, dude.
but
Like him taking the time out of his day, man, that means the world to me.
and it's awesome. I mean, if we ever make it to, way up there and we're
Oh
doing
yeah.
this for a living, I will never turn a podcast down.
Oh
And
no, dude, me neither.
because it's just talking hunting. It's the camaraderie. How you say it?
It's just it's building up building friendships, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
Like he said, it's just like, I mean, who don't want to sit down and talk turkey hunting and deer hunting?
Oh, dude, I agree so much.
You know,
But guys, it's always a pleasure, and hope you all enjoy this episode as much as we did.